He who engages you conquers you. Elizabethan adaptation of Epictetus. What if I told you that most of the stress, frustration, and anger you feel every day isn't actually caused by the world around you, but by the way you respond to it? Imagine walking into a heated meeting, a chaotic household, or even scrolling through social media and staying completely unshaken while everyone around you loses control. Sounds impossible. Well, it's not. In this video, we're diving deep into 10 Stoic hacks that will train your mind to stay calm, grounded, and unflappable, even when chaos surrounds you. These aren't vague theories. They're practical, actionable strategies used by some of history's greatest thinkers to master their emotions, stay rational under pressure, and keep their peace intact. Whether you're tired of feeling drained by other people's drama, or you want to approach life with clarity and composure, these Stoic techniques will transform the way you react to stress permanently. So stick around till the very end, because each tip builds on the last, and the final hack is something most people completely overlook. But it's a total game changer. By the time this video is over, you won't just know how to stay calm, you'll feel it in your bones. Number 1, focus on what you can control. You've got to understand this first. The moment you fixate on things outside your control, you hand over your power. You give it away. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And that's exactly what happens when your mind latches onto things you cannot change. Imagine the weight of trying to manage other people's moods, decisions, or reactions. It's exhausting, futile, and completely unnecessary. You don't need to be a victim of circumstances. You need to recognize what's yours and what is. You need to look squarely at your own choices, your own reactions, and your own mind, because that is where your true power lies. Now I want you to picture this. Every time someone else loses control, they're giving you a choice. You can either spiral with them, get caught in the chaos, or you can pause, breathe, and anchor yourself in what's yours, your thoughts, your actions, your serenity. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's not just philosophy, it's a tool, a strategy, a lifeline. You can practice it, you can use it, and you should. Every single day, take a moment to scan your mind like a map. Identify what's in your jurisdiction and what is. The emails you send, the words you speak, the choices you make, those are yours. The storm outside, the outburst, the sudden anger of someone else, that's theirs. Stop blending the territories. Stop playing in someone else's chaos. Here's a practical way to exercise this. Each morning, take a quiet minute and write down what is absolutely under your control today. Be ruthless. Strip it down to essentials, your attention, your effort, your words. Now write down what is outside your control. Let it be clear, distinct, and untouchable. The very act of labeling it separates it from your mental space. You'll notice a shift. Your mind won't wander into every possible disaster. Your energy won't leak into battles you cannot win. This simple act alone is transformative. It trains your mind to anchor in the present and in your own sphere of influence. And it doesn't stop there. Throughout your day, catch yourself when you start venturing into what you can't change. Maybe it's someone's reaction, maybe it's a sudden setback, maybe it's the unpredictability of life itself. Pause, inhale deeply, remind yourself, this is not mine to control, my response is mine. Feel the freedom in those words. Feel the calm in reclaiming what's yours. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about redirecting them. Your focus is a muscle. Exercise it. Strengthen it. Let it rest only on what you can touch, influence, and nurture. And yes, practice makes it stick. Set small, deliberate exercises. When tension rises, silently say, "This is not mine." When frustration builds, write down exactly what you can influence in that moment. Let it become a habit, not a thought experiment. Soon, you'll notice a profound difference. The world may rage around you, but inside, you maintain composure. Calm becomes your default state. You start moving through life with intention, clarity, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you hold the only levers that matter: your own mind and your own choices. So start today. Right now, take a deep breath, scan your thoughts, and ask yourself, what is mine to control? What can I let go? The more you focus here, the less the chaos outside has a hold on you. Said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Strength, serenity, and focus are waiting for you. All you have to do is reach for them. Number 2, pause before reacting. Imagine this. Someone says something that sparks an instant surge of irritation, or a situation suddenly veers into chaos, and your first impulse is to respond immediately, emotionally, reacting before thinking. Pause. Just pause. This is the simple yet revolutionary idea at the heart of Stoicism. You don't have to be carried away by the currents of others, anger, or confusion. As Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That pause is the space where freedom begins. It's the quiet crack between impulse and action where you reclaim control. You're no longer a leaf tossed by every wind of provocation. You're the calm observer, the one who decides deliberately how to respond. That's power. That's mastery. When you pause before reacting, you create a moment, a tiny, profound space where you can ask yourself, is this my problem? Is this my battle? Is this something within my control? That split-second reflection can transform chaos into clarity. Your mind, rather than being hijacked by immediate emotion, becomes a tool you wield intentionally. You're able to consider consequences, choose your words, and decide whether a response serves your integrity or merely inflames the moment. Seneca taught that we suffer more in imagination than reality, and so in that pause, you separate the imagined outrage, the immediate emotional eruption, from the real, rational world where you still have choices. To make this practical, start by noticing the trigger. The next time irritation, frustration, or anger rises, don't suppress it, acknowledge it, name it. Recognize the physical sensations too, the quickened heartbeat, the tension in your shoulders, the rush of energy. Then take a deliberate breath. Inhale slowly, counting to 4. Hold for a beat. Exhale to 4. This isn't just a ritual, it's your signal to your mind that the automatic, reactive mode is temporarily suspended. In that pause, remind yourself of what emphasized, that the opinions of others, their anger or foolishness, do not touch the essence of who you are. Practice this pause like a muscle. Begin with small, low-stakes irritations, maybe a minor inconvenience, a passing comment, a momentary disruption. Extend the pause even for a few seconds before acting. Each time you do, your reflexive reactions weaken and intentional responses strengthen. Over time, you'll find that the pause itself becomes a habit, a natural buffer that protects you from being drawn into unnecessary conflict. You start to see that most reactions, especially impulsive ones, are not worth the mental or emotional expenditure. A powerful exercise to internalize this is to visualize difficult interactions ahead of time. Imagine someone saying something that would normally set you off. Instead of rehearsing your outburst, mentally practice pausing, breathing, and responding with calm, deliberate words. Picture the satisfaction of keeping your composure, the clarity that comes from choosing your reaction rather than reacting blindly. By repeatedly rehearsing the pause in your imagination, you strengthen your ability to do it in real time, turning it from an abstract concept into a reflexive tool for daily life. Remember, pausing doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean suppressing your voice or ignoring problems. It means claiming the space to respond with wisdom, not impulse. Each pause is a small victory, a reclamation of your inner freedom, a daily act of stoic resilience. Start now. Pause, breathe, choose, and watch as the storms of others' emotions pass around you while you remain anchored, calm, and unshaken. Number 3, practice deep breathing. Imagine a moment when everything around you is chaotic, voices rising, tempers flaring, tension thick enough to choke on. In that moment, it might feel impossible to stay grounded, let alone calm. Yet there is a simple, almost miraculous tool you can wield, one that requires nothing but your own body, your breath. Deep breathing is more than just inhaling and exhaling. It is a deliberate act of reclaiming control. As Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your breath can be the tether that keeps your mind steady when the world around you seems unhinged. By consciously slowing down and deepening your breaths, you create a physiological shift, a subtle but powerful reminder that, no matter how others behave, you remain the master of your inner world. Start by taking notice of your inhalation, letting it expand your belly rather than just your chest. This is not merely a mechanical act. It's a statement to yourself that you will not be swept away by external turbulence. As you inhale, count slowly to 4, feeling the air fill you completely. And as you exhale, count to 6, letting tension leave your body. That extra beat on the exhale mirrors the Stoic principle of detachment, releasing what is outside your control. This rhythm, simple yet profound, slows your heart rate, eases the tension in your muscles, and signals to your mind that you are not participating in the chaos. You are observing, choosing, responding with intention. You can extend this practice into moments of subtle stress, not just when the storm is raging. Every day, pause for a minute or two and breathe deeply, fully aware of the sensation of air entering and leaving your body. Wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This awareness, reinforced through deep breathing, becomes a habit, a reliable anchor. The more you practice, the easier it is to summon calm instantly, even in the middle of others' irrational outbursts. Your breath becomes both shield and compass, guiding you back to clarity when impulsive reactions tempt you. To deepen the effect, synchronize your breathing with your awareness of the present moment. Feel your feet on the ground, notice the sensation of your clothing against your skin, hear the distant hum of life moving on. This full-bodied attention, paired with steady, deliberate breaths, dissolves panic before it can take hold. It is a Stoic exercise in presence, a reminder that the only thing you truly control is your perception, and your breath is the gateway to that control. Practice makes permanent. Start small if you must, 2 minutes at your desk, 5 minutes in the morning, or even a few conscious breaths before answering a tense email or walking into a crowded space. With time, these pauses become instinctive. You'll find that the ability to remain composed isn't dependent on the environment. It arises from your inner discipline. The world may erupt in anger, confusion, or despair, but your breath anchors you. It is your proof that serenity is a choice, not a circumstance. So, inhale with intention, exhale with resolve, and remember that mastery of your inner life begins one conscious breath at a time. Number 4, reframe the situation. When chaos erupts around you, your instinct might be to react immediately, to mirror the panic or frustration you see. But what if you could step back, just for a moment, and see the situation through a different lens? This is where the power of reframing comes in. Stoicism teaches us that it is not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You can start practicing this today by consciously shifting your focus from what's happening outside to how you choose to respond inside. That pause, that space between stimulus and reaction, is where your calm resides. Reframing isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing perspective deliberately. When someone lashes out, interrupts your peace, or behaves irrationally, you have a choice. You can see it as a personal attack, a threat, or a reason to spiral, or you can interpret it as a reflection of their struggles, a chance to practice patience, or an opportunity to maintain your own integrity. Your mind is a lens, and reframing is simply adjusting that lens. What looks like a problem from one angle can appear as a neutral challenge, or even a hidden gift from another. Often reflected on this, he reminded himself that the behaviors of others are dictated by their character and circumstances, not by any obligation to accommodate you. That realization alone can transform tension into clarity. Start small. The next time irritation surfaces, try asking yourself, what is really happening here? What part of this is under my control and what part is? You'll notice that much of your agitation dissolves the moment you stop treating every external jolt as a personal crisis. Another exercise is to reframe language in your head. Instead of thinking, they're being unreasonable, try, they are struggling in their way, and that is not my responsibility. This subtle shift reduces emotional charge and allows you to respond deliberately rather than react impulsively. Reframing also means considering the long-term view. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to feel trapped by circumstance, as though the stress or conflict will last forever. But even the most turbulent interactions are temporary. Seneca advised, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By mentally projecting yourself beyond the immediate moment, imagining that hours, days, or weeks will soften the intensity of what is happening, you cultivate resilience. You remind yourself that the world does not revolve around this incident, and your equilibrium is not permanently at stake. You can even practice reframing proactively as a daily habit. Each morning, visualize potential challenges and consciously reinterpret them in advance. If a meeting could become tense, imagine it as a chance to practice calm. If someone might criticize you, see it as an opportunity to refine your judgment and composure. By training your mind this way, reframing becomes almost instinctive. You are no longer tossed around by every emotional gust. You remain anchored, steady, unshaken. Remember, the goal isn't to suppress emotion, but to redirect it intelligently. The next time you feel the world spinning into chaos, tell yourself, "This situation is neutral. My interpretation is what gives it weight. I can choose a different perspective." Over time, this practice reshapes your internal landscape. Your peace becomes portable, independent of external turmoil. You'll notice that others may still lose control, but it will no longer pull you into their storm. You are choosing calm, clarity, and control, because ultimately, the only thing truly yours is your mind, and that is a fortress no chaos can breach. Number 5, accept that others act according to their nature. Imagine this. Someone around you loses their cool, their anger flaring like a sudden storm, and you feel that familiar ripple of irritation or even panic stir within you. Your first instinct is to react, to argue, to defend, to control the uncontrollable. But here's the thing. The Stoics remind us that the world doesn't unfold according to your wishes, and neither do the people in it. Epictetus said, "People are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." The chaos you witness in others isn't a reflection of your competence or failure. It is simply the natural manifestation of their character and inclinations. When you truly grasp that others act according to their nature, sometimes impulsive, sometimes reactive, sometimes entirely irrational, you release yourself from the invisible chains of expectation. You stop taking their behavior personally, and you begin to reclaim your calm. You have to train your mind to see human behavior as predictable in its own way. Not predictable because you can control it, but predictable because everyone has a nature, and that nature is consistent. Someone prone to anger will flare, someone prone to anxiety will fret, someone prone to criticism will find fault. This is not an excuse for bad behavior. It's a recognition of reality. Wrote in Meditations, whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? By reflecting on your own tendencies, you cultivate empathy while avoiding the trap of frustration. You realize that someone else's outburst is a mirror, not a weapon aimed at you. Now here, where the power comes in. Once you accept the nature of others, you stop expending energy on what you cannot control. You stop trying to mold their reactions, to manage their emotions, or to force them into your preferred way of being. This is liberating because it redirects your focus inward. You can ask yourself, how do I want to respond? What mindset can I cultivate to remain unshaken? This shift, from resisting the world to mastering your own response, is the essence of Stoic resilience. Every moment that others lose control becomes an opportunity for you to practice your calm, your patience, and your clarity. To make this practical, start by observing without judgment. The next time someone acts impulsively or harshly, pause, take a breath, recognize the behavior for what it is, a natural tendency of that person and not a personal attack. You can even internalize a short mantra: they act according to their nature, I act according to mine. Repeat it silently, allowing it to anchor you. Another exercise is to mentally detach the outcome from your expectations. Picture a wave approaching the shore. You cannot stop it, but you can stand steady, feeling the motion without being swept away. Similarly, see emotions in others as waves. They surge, they crash, and they recede, but they do not have to drown you. The more consistently you practice this, the more automatic your calm becomes. You will notice a profound shift. The noise around you diminishes. The emotional turbulence of others fails to penetrate your inner sanctuary, and you start acting from a place of deliberate choice rather than reaction. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." By accepting human nature, you cut through imagined slights and indignities, and you anchor yourself in what truly matters: your reasoned, intentional response. So today, decide to observe without needing to intervene. Notice the human patterns, the repeated tendencies, and allow them to exist without resistance. Recognize that their behavior says nothing about your worth, your competence, or your peace. And then with each interaction, each observation, you build a muscle that no external storm can touch. You are calm. You are steady. You are guided not by the turbulence of others, but by the tranquility you cultivate within. This is the Stoic path, and it begins with accepting that others act according to their nature. Number 6. Maintain perspective on the bigger picture. Imagine this. The world around you feels chaotic, tempers flare, voices rise, and it seems as if everyone is losing control. In those moments, it's easy to feel pulled in every direction, your emotions reacting like a ship tossed in a storm. But what if you could step back, just for a second, and see beyond the immediate chaos? What if you could widen your lens and see the bigger picture? This is the essence of the Stoic approach. The emperor who faced turmoil both within and without reminds us that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Maintaining perspective on the larger context is a game changer. It isn't about ignoring what's happening. It's about refusing to be consumed by it. It's about seeing the fleeting nature of conflict, the temporary nature of anger, and the transient nature of everyone's reactions, including your own. You have the ability to pause. When someone is shouting, or when the pressure of a situation threatens to overwhelm, you can remind yourself that this moment is just a fragment of a much longer journey. Epictetus tells us that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This means that while you cannot always control the behavior of others, you can control your interpretation. You can choose to see tension not as a crisis, but as a small ripple in the vast ocean of life. By maintaining perspective, you create a mental space where calmness becomes a natural response rather than a forced effort. It allows you to rise above pettiness, drama, and impulsive reactions. One practical exercise to cultivate this perspective is to zoom out in your mind's eye. Picture the situation from a bird's eye view. Imagine yourself observing it from high above, seeing not just the moment but the flow of time around it. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? This isn't detachment in the cold sense. It's a conscious effort to contextualize. The Stoics constantly remind us that life is transient, that the world has its rhythm, and that nothing, not even anger or chaos, lasts forever. Keeping this in mind helps you detach from the immediacy of emotional reactions and instead respond with clarity and reason. Another method is to actively remind yourself of the impermanence of people's emotions, your own included. Just as storms pass, so do the intense waves of outrage, fear, or frustration. Pause and notice that the intensity of the moment does not define the entirety of life. You can practice saying internally, "This will pass. This is temporary. I am bigger than this moment." Repeating such phrases trains your mind to stay anchored. You create a buffer between stimulus and response, a space where calmness can flourish, and irrationality loses its grip. You can also integrate perspective by considering the values and priorities that truly matter to you. Ask yourself, does losing my cool here align with the person I want to be? Stoicism is not just about enduring external chaos, it's about building inner sovereignty. The bigger picture isn't abstract, it's your life unfolding according to your principles. When you remind yourself of these principles, everyday irritations shrink. What seemed monumental becomes small, even trivial, in comparison to your overarching goals, character, and purpose. So take a deep breath, step back, observe the storm without being swallowed by it. Remind yourself that nothing external has ultimate power over your inner state. See the temporariness of conflict and the broader flow of life. Practice these mental exercises daily, and you will find that calmness isn't a rare gift reserved for the serene. It becomes your default. By maintaining perspective on the bigger picture, you are not just surviving chaos. You are mastering your mind, and in that mastery, you discover a quiet strength that others, frantically grasping at control, can only envy. Number 7, visualize worst-case scenarios calmly. Imagine this. Everything you fear could happen, suddenly, all at once. But instead of panicking, you remain centered, steady, unshaken. That's the power of visualizing worst-case scenarios calmly. It sounds counterintuitive at first, right? Why dwell on the worst things that could happen? But this is not about inviting doom into your mind. It's about taking control before circumstances take control of you. Seneca reminds us, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Your mind has a habit of running wild with possibilities, often exaggerating, spiraling, and amplifying fear. By consciously imagining the worst calmly, you bring that runaway mind back into the driver's seat. You train yourself to face the storm mentally before it hits in reality. And when it does, the storm is no longer terrifying. It's merely another scenario you have prepared for. Here's the key. You must do this with composure. Don't visualize in a way that fuels panic. Instead, calmly walk through the scenario in your mind. Picture the worst that could happen, then ask yourself, how would I respond? What steps could I take? How could I endure or adapt? By mapping a plan, even mentally, you reduce the power of uncertainty. Epictetus says, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your mental rehearsal allows you to respond with reason rather than raw emotion. Every time you practice this, you're strengthening the muscle of equanimity. Start small. Pick a minor fear, a conversation, a work presentation, or a difficult interaction, and imagine it going off the rails. Now, instead of feeling dread, guide yourself through it with calm, rational responses. Notice the shift. Your body relaxes, your heartbeat slows, your mind clears. That's the magic. Your fear doesn't vanish, but it loses its grip. With time, this practice becomes automatic. When bigger challenges arise, your mind has already been there, walking through the worst-case scenario with patience and clarity. You can also add layers to this exercise. After visualizing the worst, imagine the best-case outcome and then somewhere in between. This triangulation gives you perspective. The worst is survivable, the best is inspiring, and the middle is manageable. Wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The strength he spoke of comes from mental preparedness, from knowing that no matter what happens, you have a clear, composed response ready. To make it practical, dedicate just 5 minutes a day. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, and bring a possible scenario to mind. Step through it slowly, noticing how your body reacts, and then guide yourself through calm responses. Over time, this becomes a shield. Life will always throw chaos, but you will walk through it with a steady pace, a clear mind, and a resilient heart. You're no longer at the mercy of uncertainty. You've anticipated it, accepted it, and trained yourself to handle it. That, in essence, is the Stoic mastery of calm. Not the absence of challenges, but the presence of unshakable composure. Number 8, use self-talk to reinforce composure. When you notice chaos unfolding around you, when voices rise, tempers flare, and others spiral into frustration, the first person you must turn to is yourself. That's right, you. Your inner dialogue is more than just idle chatter. It's a tool, a lever, a quiet force that can anchor you while the storm rages. In the words of Epictetus, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your self-talk shapes your reaction. It frames your perspective. And when you choose your words carefully, you create a mental shield against the chaos, a buffer that keeps your mind calm even as everything else tilts toward disorder. Begin by noticing the tone of your internal conversation. Often, when others lose control, your mind unconsciously mirrors their turbulence. Thoughts like "this is unbearable" or "I can't stand this" sneak in, and suddenly you're no longer a calm observer, you're a participant in the storm. Catch yourself. Interrupt those patterns. Replace them with words that anchor you. I am steady. I can handle this. My calm is my power. I choose clarity over chaos. These aren't empty affirmations. They are deliberate reminders that you control the one thing that truly matters, your own response. Reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Every time you speak to yourself in a composed, deliberate way, you exercise that power. Make self-talk active, not passive. Don't just repeat phrases mechanically, engage with them. When someone's anger spikes in a meeting, pause, take a breath. Tell yourself, I will observe without reacting. When gossip or criticism tries to invade your peace, whisper in your mind, their words do not define me. By verbalizing your calm internally, you create a rhythm of composure that your body and mind begin to mirror. Your breath slows. Your muscles release tension. Your mind notices the steadiness and locks onto it, even as the external environment remains volatile. There's a method to make this second nature: rehearsal. Visualize challenging situations in advance. Imagine people shouting, deadlines collapsing, unexpected disruptions. Now practice your internal responses. Hear yourself saying, I remain clear, I observe, I act with intention. Run through this in your mind until the phrases feel like an instinct, a protective mantra you can call on at will. This is the essence of Stoic preparation, anticipating chaos but training your mind to remain unwavering. Another practical step is to anchor your self-talk in values and perspective. Remind yourself that most of what provokes panic in others is trivial in the grand scope of life. Stoics often reflected on mortality, on the fleeting nature of moments, on the triviality of petty conflicts. You can use this perspective in your self-talk. This moment will pass. My peace is lasting. When you tie your words to principles larger than the immediate mess, you gain a mental vantage point that others lack, a calm that feels unshakable because it is grounded in reason, not impulse. Finally, make it habitual. Every morning before engaging with the world, speak to yourself about the calm you intend to carry. Throughout the day, use brief mental check-ins, a sentence, a phrase, a breath anchored to words of steadiness. Over time, this self-talk becomes a reflex. Chaos around you becomes a backdrop rather than a command center. You do not need to control the storm, only your stance within it. Remember, as Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Your words are your reins. Use them to ride the whirlwind, not be swept away by it. Number 9, detach from outcomes. Imagine a moment where everyone around you is spiraling, reacting, panicking, and getting swept away by the chaos. And there you are, standing still, calm, almost immune to the storm of emotions surrounding you. How is that possible? One of the most powerful Stoic tools at your disposal is detaching from outcomes. At first, it might sound like giving up, like shrugging your shoulders and surrendering to fate, but it's far from that. Detaching from outcomes doesn't mean you stop caring or that you stop putting in effort. It means you shift your focus from things you cannot control to things you can. Reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. The moment you start obsessing over how things should turn out, you hand your peace of mind over to forces outside yourself. You become a hostage to the unpredictability of the world. But when you detach from outcomes, you reclaim that power. You anchor yourself in your intentions, your actions, your character, because those are yours fully, and they are where your true influence lies. Here's the key. Detaching from outcomes requires constant practice, and it starts with awareness. Every time you feel anxious, frustrated, or desperate for a particular result, pause. Notice the tightness in your chest, the racing thoughts, the pull of attachment. Label it. Tell yourself, this is desire for a result I cannot control. It's a small mental shift, but it changes everything. From there, consciously redirect your energy to your actions, to the process, to doing your part as well and fully as you can. Seneca said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." When you detach from outcomes, you are still preparing, still acting, still giving your best, but you release the illusion that you control the final product. The pressure evaporates, leaving space for clarity, calmness, and confident action. To make this practical, cultivate exercises that reinforce this detachment. One simple daily practice is reflection. Each morning or evening, write down the actions you will take or have taken, and next to them, note the outcomes. But treat those outcomes as secondary. The measure of success is the integrity of your effort, not whether the world complies with your expectations. Another technique is mental rehearsal. Visualize a scenario you care about intensely. Imagine it going wrong in every possible way, and then ask yourself, how can I respond without losing my composure? This isn't pessimism, it's freedom. By confronting possible outcomes in advance and rehearsing your equanimity, you immunize yourself against surprise and disappointment. You can also anchor yourself in mantras, phrases like "I control my actions, not the result," or simply repeating words, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment," when you feel the tug of expectation. Let these words become your shield, a reminder that peace does not depend on external events. And remember, this is a skill, not a switch. Every time you detach from outcomes, your calm becomes more natural. It seeps into your interactions, your decisions, and your perception of the world. People may rage around you, the stakes may feel high, and the outcome may be uncertain, but you remain grounded. You operate from a place of reason, not reaction, from purpose, not panic. Detaching from outcomes isn't detachment from life. It's engagement with it on your terms. It's the art of acting fully while embracing uncertainty, of moving with clarity while letting go of what you cannot command. Start today. Notice the small moments where you cling to results unnecessarily. Practice letting go, observing, and acting with integrity. With time, detachment transforms from a deliberate effort into a natural stance. You will find a serenity that others can't touch, a calmness that becomes your signature, and a freedom from the tyranny of expectations that allows you to navigate life with poise, strength, and unwavering clarity. Number 10, reflect daily on your responses. Imagine this. The day has ended, the noise has faded, and you finally have a moment to yourself. You sit quietly, perhaps with your eyes closed or pen in hand, and you turn your attention inward. This is not a ritual of judgment, nor a session of self-criticism. No, this is something far more powerful. It is the daily reflection of how you respond to the world around you. You see, Stoics understood that calmness is not an accident. It is cultivated, nurtured with deliberate thought. Wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." And to truly embody that, you must examine your reactions. Ask yourself, where did I allow agitation to creep in today? When did I respond with patience, and when did I falter? This is not about beating yourself up. It is about becoming conscious of your inner landscape, mapping the terrain of your mind so that tomorrow you can navigate it with greater mastery. Start by setting aside a small window each day, a few minutes in the morning or before sleep. Reflect on 1 or 2 moments where emotions surged. You don't need a long list. One precise observation is more powerful than 10 vague recollections. Consider not only what triggered you, but why. What assumptions did you make? What expectations were unmet? In these moments, you are planting the seeds of awareness. Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Every reflection strengthens your capacity to respond with choice rather than impulse. It is here, in this quiet practice, that you begin to separate the stirrings of your mind from the dictates of external events. As you reflect, write down your observations. This act of writing is not mere documentation. It transforms fleeting thoughts into tangible insights. Each word becomes a stepping stone, guiding you toward intentionality. Notice patterns. Perhaps you grow tense in response to criticism, or perhaps impatience flares when someone interrupts your plans. Recognize these tendencies, but do so with gentle curiosity. Stoicism does not demand harshness toward oneself. Instead, it asks for clarity and honesty. By identifying recurring triggers, you equip yourself with a mental toolkit to anticipate challenges and approach them with composure. Now take it a step further. Envision alternative responses. Imagine how you could have stayed calm, spoken with measured words, or simply observed without immediate reaction. Visualization is a hidden power in Stoic practice. The mind rehearses the art of serenity. With each mental rehearsal, your responses become less reactive, more deliberate, more aligned with the rational mind that championed. By reflecting daily, you train yourself not only to endure external chaos, but to maintain your inner sanctuary untouched by it. Finally, consider integrating gratitude and perspective into your reflection. Amid the moments that tested your patience, find something that encouraged growth, however subtle. Recognize that every challenge offers a chance to refine your character. In this quiet, you learn the art of patience, the discipline of restraint, and the profound freedom of choosing your responses. Reflection is not passive. It is a daily forging of your emotional resilience. The world may erupt around you, but through conscious reflection, you cultivate an unshakable calm. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the steward of your mind. Make this practice sacred, make it habitual, and watch as your calmness becomes unassailable, even when others lose control. And there you have it, 10 Stoic hacks to stay calm when the world around you is losing its cool. Remember, serenity isn't about avoiding chaos. It's about mastering your response to it. Try incorporating even one of these practices into your daily life and watch how your perspective and your peace of mind transforms. If you found these tips helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more strategies to stay grounded, and share your favorite hack in the comments below. Stay calm, stay thoughtful, and as the Stoics remind us, focus on what you can control and let the rest roll off your shoulders. See you in the next video.